Hello, I'm Frank Hanqi. Welcome back to The Wave. Today we have a special guest from Madrid. Right now with us is CEO of Robert Walters, Mr. Gerrit Bouckaert. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's a very, I think, impeccable time for you to join us this time because we see the global hiring market is changing right now. And we see actually some economic impacts about inflation, of course, and other issues. We just want to understand from your side about the global hiring market affected by current state of economic issue. Could you please give us head, of course, and the technology influences to AI. This is very important.
All right, perfect. Look, global economy affects, of course, hiring markets. And it's clear that the global economy is slowing down, and so is hiring markets. And what we see in terms of the job volumes on the market, it has cooled down compared to the 2022 period, and it's consistent in 23-24, but it's still at higher demand than what we saw pre-COVID levels, so before 2018 and 2019. So the demand is still there, but the confidence of candidates to move has slowed down. And reason being is because they see, of course, in their companies that there's cost cutting, and they are afraid when they move to a new employer, of course, that they might be a victim of last in, first out. So what we see is definitely a slowdown of the confidence of candidates at the same time as a cooling down of the volumes of jobs.
And so, of course, you talk about the cooling down of the economy too. And of course, we see the U.S. market right now is quite, is in a turbulence, right? We are seeing if the U.S. Fed rate would go up or go down to see the soft and hard landing here. And of course, we say economy also links with the global hiring market too.
Yes.
So we understand that, of course, we see some tech jobs cut off right now, but other sectors, of course, we see different changes there.
I think the US economy is something very interesting to monitor. On the one hand side, they are very low in unemployment rate, but the inflation is still very high. And I think there's doubt of lowering the interest rates, because what they don't want to have is what happened in the 70s, is when they lowered interest rates, but actually the inflation took a second turn that even was worse. So the whole world is watching the US, which is a very hot market at the moment. And I think the local regulators are very carefully monitoring the situation. In the US, you have a skills shortage, definitely, and definitely in tech, and although you see layoffs happening in the big tech firms, there's a lot of companies that are screaming for good tech talent. So you see them starting to move into smaller companies, SMEs, more specialist companies, rather than the big tech. But it's, of course, the big tech layoffs that get the headlines in the media.
So, but of course, as what you observe right now in US market, still have some skillful workers shortage there. But right now we are in Southeast Asia, in Bangkok. So I just want to have your expertise in this, because of course you have abundant experience in this area. Just want to understand, of course, we see the potential. As in, I quote here, we are empowering people and organizations to fulfill their unique potential by Robert Walters. So how would you see the potential of talent acquisition for multinational companies in Southeast Asia?
Okay, so Southeast Asia has been in a steady growth status for the past 2 decades, and I've been very fortunate to have monitored that myself here, being based in Bangkok for 8 years and 3 years in Singapore. It is one of the more sheltered economies because there's a lot of local demand, and there's only a few places that are actually in the winds of global headwinds, for example, Singapore, where the financial services industry is definitely affected by what's happening at the moment. I think a lot of countries in this region are competing now, with really trying to capture that foreign direct investment into a Vietnam or in Indonesia or in a Thailand. And I think that what governments are doing is trying to lower the regulatory framework to ensure that those investments are coming their way. And I can give you a few examples. If you see what Vietnam is doing on the green economy, for example, at the moment, fascinating to follow what they're doing with the regulatory framework to really attract this type of technology coming in, but then also partner with the local providers of that. An interesting sector as well as the EV sector. How are we going to deal with electronic vehicles moving forward, or the wider electronic mobility? And for example, in Thailand, there's a big question mark on how you're going to shift from combustion engine production to EV cars.
It's the hard news.
And in Indonesia, you can see the supply chain being differently followed because the production of cobalt needs to be increased to produce those batteries. And then, of course, our digital infrastructure in this region needs to be upgraded. Telecom companies are probably looking a lot at their capex to ensure that we can keep up with the demands for the data production that we need to ensure that this market keeps growing.
Yeah.
So data warehousing and infrastructure is definitely another very interesting area to invest in this part of the world. A study of HSBC has shown that the 9 biggest investors in this part of the region are quite optimistic. They foresee a growth of 23.2% in this year of sales being grown in Southeast Asia, whilst it was 20% last year. So I think the whole world knows Southeast Asia definitely has a lot to offer. And I think it is up for the countries to compete to capture that global demand.
And this is what the analysts always say, Asia's time is coming.
It is coming.
We can see some Southeast Asia countries, of course, right now, they have capabilities to put their foot in different industry, different sectors. And of course, they can get benefits from this inflow of new investment here. Just want to understand, of course, you in this market for many years, what are those challenges here in Southeast Asia in different areas? What are those challenges in terms of talent acquisition right now, as you see from the global market? What are those challenges?
I think fundamentally Southeast Asia still has a fairly traditional way of thinking. If they're looking to hire somebody, they would like to have the person to have a good educational background that they like and to come likely from the industry. Whilst the world is now shifting to a skills-first approach, which means they care less about, did you study at Chulalongkorn or Thammasat? Do you have industry experience becomes irrelevant, but what they want is, do you have the skill to do the job you need to do? And that is letting go of the educational background and, of course, the industry knowledge, because in a lot of cases, especially in the tech world, it becomes industry agnostic where you come from. As long as you know the tech part, you'll be able to do the job. So that's one big piece. I think the second one is that at the moment, there's a lot of hesitation of talent to move, because, like I said before, people are a bit scared at the moment. So the confidence is lower. And they call this the big stay. A few years ago, we had the big move out of companies, and now it's the reverse happening. Because what candidates see is that there's less salary increments when they move jobs, because the companies cannot pay as much as they did before. And at the same time, companies are really putting efforts in retaining the staff they have and even giving counter offers for those of the talent that want to go. Because companies realize it takes a lot of time and effort to, one, identify somebody, train them, grow them, and then retain them. We looked at a study and we know that 72% of employees would consider moving back to their ex-employer, and 80% of the employers would like to get their old talent back even. So there's definitely an openness and a tendency to stay where they are, and even if they have moved somewhere, to come back.
And this is a very challenging factor there. Of course, as an employer, they cultivate their workers, and to the halfway they leave. This is the problem there, and this is the painful point for all the companies. Of course, people want to see the pay raise, they want to see raise, but of course, not every company can give it to that.
Correct. And economic cycles go up and down. And so a lot of people who want to move jobs in 2024 think it's still the market of 2022 where there was an abundance of big offers being offered. But we need to manage that expectation of candidates. And I think, it depends on what you really want. Do you want to go for experience and learn something new, or you want to go for a monetary reason, which is both valid?
And I talked to your country manager in Thailand last year. Of course, we talk about the counter offer here in Thailand, because this is not every company using this strategy, but we've seen emerging strategy here from companies to retain their talent in the company. But it's still not that many companies doing this one. So I want to turn the page to Thailand, of course, especially Thailand. So, of course, what are your insights about growth of local talent and the hiring market in Thailand? according to your experience in this region in 2024?
Well, look, I think last year economic growth in Thailand was around 1.9%.
Yeah.
That should be going up to 2.7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the previous predictions were 3.
Hopefully.
We all hope the same. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So yeah, okay, that's the good news, of course. Yeah, it's moving in the right direction. If you look at hiring talent, I think in this part of the world, what you often see is that traditional thinking of employees will come my way if I give them enough money is maybe less so important. I think companies need to work a lot on their employer branding. Yeah. And if we speak to HR professionals on the day-to-day exercise, we see that a large portion of their budget is going to that employer branding. And employer branding is not just working for a big name. It is about what can you do working for this company and what you will be achieve and how we will grow you and teach you new things. And I think one of the key elements in the future for companies is the ability to integrate AI with their workers, because a lot of contingent of the workforce is a bit scared of this, and rightfully so. I mean, when the first time I had to use this tool, I was a bit scared too. But we need to get comfortable utilizing this new technology, and we need to reskill our workers to be able to harness the power that AI can give to companies. And we are doing that in our company, but we also see it happening in our clients' companies, and it's fantastic to see the evolution that has taken. If we look at the AI talent then that is in demand globally, there's 3.5 times more jobs in AI compared to the global average of job demand.
All right.
If you compare it to 2012, when there's one job then in, let's say, more advanced artificial intelligence or data science, now there's 7 of them. Which obviously gives a lot of premium because that demand is high and the supply of candidates is low. Yep. So people working or upskilling themselves in artificial intelligence or in the wider data piece can get a premium of 25% more salary than people that don't have that. Yeah. If you then look at where the job descriptions are changing and where the integration of AI or data is coming in, you do see that there's a 25% augmentation of requests for people to have at least one of those skills available as well. So I think universities should be able to adjust their curriculum to what the market is demanding. And sometimes we see a discrepancy between what the market is demanding and what universities are offering. So that's quite interesting to see how the educational piece will fit into that demand as well.
You talk about so many important points here. Learning and development in one company really helps to retain these talents in the company. Yeah. Of course, second one is AI integrated skills, the performance that the employee needs to have and the employer can give it to the employees too in the company. And third one, of course, is the job market, because actually I checked the job market recently. Yep. Of course, I'm not jumping to another company yet, but this is the important that actually if the employees, they have the important skills like what you say about artificial intelligence skill, related skill, that would put them on the good start compared to others. Yeah. So it's very important.
Yes, and I believe in lifelong learning. Personally, I've done a degree now in digital marketing because I couldn't follow or understand what my marketing director was saying anymore. So I think it's important just to keep up with some of the key trends that are happening in the market, and you don't have to have a full degree in computer science at all, but just to understand the practical implications of what new technology can bring can really set you apart from other candidates in the market, I believe.
So reskilling and upskilling yourself could put you at a very good position to go on. Yeah.
Another trend that we see at the moment in Thailand is where companies used to hire all ranges of the spectrum. We do see a bit of a slowdown at the more senior end, at the executive end, and that's not just in Thailand. Across Southeast Asia, we noticed that vacancies, instead of trying to hire a director, maybe they look for a senior manager instead, because of the cost to company. Yeah. Now, that sometimes has advantages on the cost end, but doesn't necessarily has advantages on the experience that people bring in. So we do see sometimes a little bit of a lowering of level of categories, which might be good on the cost end, but not necessarily what drives a company forward.
Yeah, so that's why, of course, we see the company, they are right now, of course, change their strategy to hire people in too. All right, so I think today, of course, you give us so many points that we can see in 2024, and we will see what happens really soon about, of course, the economy how would that affect global hiring market and all the talent retentions in the companies too.
Okay. If you look at the long-term future, because a lot of people ask me, when is the market going to bounce back?
Yes. When will that bounce back?
That is a good question. So I don't even think macroeconomists know themselves. Nobody. If somebody would know, they'd be a millionaire probably by now, a billionaire. What we tend to see in our industry is that when we look at hiring volumes globally, they go up and down. That's one. Another variable is, of course, when interest rates go down, it tends to be favorable in what we do as an industry. But where it is interesting is when the financial services industry starts hiring again. Because they tend to bounce back as the first ones from let's say a slowdown. And if the financial services industry starts hiring because they see the money flows coming and going, then the rest of the economy tends to have, in the next few months, also a rebound in hiring. So keep an eye on the financial services industry. That would be my advice.
For the banks.
Exactly.
And others. And of course, we will see how it goes when they initiate their move, no matter it's going up or declining.
Yes.
All right. Everything good today. I think we have all your analysis and, of course, for our expectation to see what happens the rest of 2024. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Have a good day.
CEO of Rubber Waters, Gerrit Bouckaert. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.